please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Two weeks ago, I made a video on the rise of Gen X. Now, there were a number of criticisms I received in the comments for it, not least getting the generational year part wrong. I wasn't wrong, but be pedantic if you like. Here I'm going to tell you to F-U-C-K off. And I have to spell that because the video was instantly demonetized by YouTube for saying C-U-N-T. Not a joke, I can't swear even slightly. YouTube, you're prats. That here is a profanity, but you don't consider it as such, therefore this should get through, right? Totally. Okay, the video did really well, and I thought, since I'm seeing more of this, let's go through some more of it. I want to start by saying that while it is amusing to see Gen X rise up, Gen X to step up and tell those Gen Zs who the Mac Daddy is, even though it is your fault they exist, and the millennials, there are those within Gen X and millennials who would rather do other things, and I'm going to show you some of that soon.
Gen X hotline, what do you want?
Hi, I work from home, and with the kids still home on summer break, I am not getting anything done.
Okay, so step one, have you tried locking them out of the house?
Okay, but like what would they eat all day?
Okay, do you have any like honeysuckle or blackberry bushes in your neighborhood?
Yeah, I think so. Why?
They're gonna be fine. That's what they're gonna eat.
Really?
Yep.
What about the bathroom?
Oh no, they're just gonna poop in the woods.
So minus the pooping in the woods part, which was one of the reasons we were allowed to go into the house as a kid, the eating berries from a bush thing is what I grew up. It was one of the very few ways we ever got food outside of the quick save alternative, and there was vastly more flavour available if you knew where to look for it. Of course, not ideal at certain times of the year when these berries were not as readily available.
Gen X hotline, what do you want?
My kids are saying they're bored. What do I do?
Okay, there's a couple answers for this, but let me check the first one. So the kids are bored. Yes, okay, so tell them to go play in traffic.
But they're not allowed in the street.
Have a good day.
What?
Is it weird that this is my childhood being described, but without the hotline or the sensitivity of the parent? It was a case that we were sent outside because, well, the house was their domain, not ours. Oh, times have changed, haven't they? Now children have access to air conditioning, decent food and snacks. I would say healthcare as well, but even in my country that's mythical.
Gen X hotline, what do you want?
My son saw another student with a vape pen in his backpack. Should we tell the teacher or go straight to the principal?
All right, let me check the book on that. Teacher or principal? Okay, it says, tell him not to be a snitch and to mind his business.
Are you serious?
Yep. Have a great day.
This is 100% what you should do. Not even a joke. What someone else does is their business, not yours. Stop trying to be such a nosy Parker, readily involved, balls deep in other people's business, family life and rules. We're all different. We are not a collective. Shut up. Go lick a window. On to the next video. This hotline was fantastic, by the way.
Anybody else think it's really kind of weird that we never got a Generation X president?
Have you met us? You don't want a Gen X president. You don't want us in charge of jack shit. Can you imagine a Gen X president coming in just scorched earth on everything? The younger generations would shit their pants. They would be crying in the streets. They'd form like a protest, block the street to make a point. We'd run them over. What would our campaign slogan be? Like, around and find out, 2028?
It took me a second to go and be certain of this. Your presidents are usually quite old. The closest you had was Barack Obama, but he falls 4 years short of the minimum requirement for Gen X. Also, he is often attributed with a level of blame for certain identity politics bleeding their way into the general sphere of politics, but also the Dear Colleague letter in Title IX. Considering the nature of how politicians have to be seen behaving, I don't believe there could ever be a Gen X president that is a Gen X person, if that makes sense. That no-nonsense attitude doesn't resonate in politics unless you're a bit older. But give it 20 years, you never know. I live to be impressed.
There's really not even that many of them in Congress or the Senate. Like,
Nobody likes us. Who would vote for us? We don't even follow rules at our real jobs. We still eat cereal for dinner like 3 times a week. You don't want us in charge of the country because we don't give a fuck.
There are a number of politicians who do fall within the bracket of Gen X because Congress is a bit more diverse on the age range. Presidents, well, the minimum requirement is a part of that issue. Additionally, you've got to try and appeal to the masses, and it is a popularity contest. When she mentioned eating cereal 3 times a week for dinner, I kinda like it. It's not something I've done 3 times a week, maybe 2, but I'm quite a old millennial, so I'm quite close to Gen X.
The generation that gave us Rage Against the Machine?
Do you remember like any like the lyrics to Rage Against the Machine that we brought you?
And it's just like, what happened to this generation? Did you all just like stay out of politics? Like,
We've been in charge of shit so long, we are exhausted. We are done. Our brains are done. Y'all can it up. Have fun. We're just gonna get old and die. Leave us alone.
I think that's something many people don't understand. Certainly when we're younger, we don't realise just how much time passes. We get used to the term life is too short. Time flies when you're having fun. These are all lies. It's a trick of the brain. Simple as that. Time drags, and life is not short. That mentality is usually from somebody who's quick to quit. So because of that, a lot of us have been involved in heavier, darker discussions for far too long. That does wear on us as we get older and our priorities change. We are less involved in trying to affect change and more interested in eating cereal and listening to good music, because it sure as hell does not exist at present, unless it's metal.
I think somebody's outside. At this time of night. It's bloody ridiculous. Hey! If you come any closer, I'll punch you in the face. Don't fuck with me. Jesus.
Not gonna lie, that both describe my grandparents and my mum. I feel like the next one's gonna be shots fired. I'm not looking forward to this.
Look, I've had a really hard week and I cannot handle an intruder right now, okay? I'm feeling very vulnerable.
Is it wrong that I know too many people who act like that? Is it wrong that that was beyond accurate? I bet you are millennial, aren't you? Sigh.
Come get me. Put me out of my misery. This world is fucked. Cringe off. It's so embarrassing. That's what you murder in? Embarrassed for you.
Is it me, or does the quitting mentality seem to become more prevalent as the generations go by? Because that is something I have noticed. There's a level of quitting in far too much, and it seems to grow as time goes by. I'm curious if Gen Alpha will finally buck that trend, or if they're also just going to be quitting from the offset. On the screen is a video I can't play the audio of because in the background of it is Metallica and Megadeth. In the video, the user, a more recent generation, is complaining about the fact that we have yet Gen X and the millennials, mostly Gen Xers though, cancelled Metallica or Megadeth because of some of the things they've done and glorified within their music and their actions in the past. I can answer this though as a millennial, because no one wants to cancel Metallica or Megadeth. Granted, Dave Mustaine can't sing. Granted, Metallica do the exact same 5-syllable verses and very long intros. But they make music people want to listen to and put on live shows people want to attend. We have no good reason to hold such a lengthy history of theirs against them now. They are not the same people, and enough time has passed. That said, you are basing their actions in the past on current year standards. Doesn't resonate with the older generations who say, times change, but that doesn't mean we have to regret what we've done.
Yo, if you drink all night and then go to work the next morning like nothing happened, you're just built different, bro.
Thank you for finally saying it. That's what we've been trying to tell you for weeks now. Built different, because the sensitivity give a damn button that this generation has, we didn't come standard equipped with. You can drink all night and then go to work the next morning. No, we didn't have a choice.
Depends on the level of drinking. Personally, I see no reason to shoot down on those who like to have a couple drinks on a night when they have work the next day. We know the consequences. We know what we have to do. Endure. It's about will. If you current year folk, the more modern young people, can partake in raw dogging, the rest of us would rather have a hangover instead. And if you're one of my lovely audience that want to now be pedantic enough to say I'm Gen X or millennial and I'd rather raw dog, you can go sit on a fence post.
Gen X and the Zennials were not a basement-dwelling generation, right? Once you hit a certain age, you moved out because living with your parents wasn't cool. The only person we knew who still lived with their mama was Norman Bates, and we all saw how that turned out. So the idea that the night before was way too much, well, it's a little ridiculous because you're going to pull yourself through it and get to work. Sure, we look like ass, smelt like beer, and we're hungover, but bills don't pay themselves. I don't think you really understand the competitive level of debauchery that these generations had. If alcohol consumption was an Olympic sport, you would be talking about Gen X as if they were Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. There was nothing else to do, right? No internet, no video games. Some of the best times that you'll never remember were in a field. And since we were all budgeting and working and we only had a little bit of money for the libations, we would all rally together and just throw in what we could and stand around like Mad Max, Lord of the Flies around a trash can and just pour everything in.
To an extent, that translated to the millennials for a time. Certainly the older millennials anyway. Not all. I do feel like the cutoff point was like 1987, perhaps 88. But there is a weird little transition phase in there where the millennials start to become the entitled twerps that many of you know. I've yet to encounter many that are within, let's say, before 87. That bracket of 81 to 87, yeah, not as common. That's not to say they don't exist. It does obviously start there. Now on the screen you see another video with more audio I cannot play. In this one, it shows that community aspect that has been growing, taking a rather substantial foothold on TikTok. I still think all of this is amusing and simultaneously cringy, but amusing is the prevalent one, especially because unlike the generations that are more interested in cancelling, this generation are outright saying back to them, good luck with that. Now I had said earlier in the video, and I've just watched one by accident and it's making me chuckle a bit, sorry about that, that there are some that fall within the bracket of Gen X or look like they belong to Gen X, doing things that I don't think other generations would do, that in a way I find both tragic and hilarious. So just to demonstrate a key difference in talent of those that might well fall within Gen X, but I can't be certain, well, let's see a Gen X tag on one of these. I might be wrong. I'm going to show you two videos of one guy doing two very similar things with a very, well, I find amusing response. Reaction? Yeah, reaction. It is quite explosive, and no, there will not be a trigger warning.
What's that, brother? 1,000,000% you won't do ground black pepper? That's getting fucking done, mate, and this is the last challenge I'm doing for the day, because it's fucking killing me off. But do you know what? In all fairness, I'm not looking forward to this one, right? But let's get into it. Come on. 3, 2, 1, here we go.
The big talk and the happiness out the window the moment the Bud Light Cinnamon Challenge happened. That's another one. And I didn't know this existed either, so this is great. This is what Gen X likes to do in their free time, by the way. This is why they're built different. Because they're crash test dummies.
What's up, bruh? You defo won't do facials. Who f***ing won't, mate? 5, 4, 3, 2, and a f***ing 1. What the f***?
I'm loving my TikTok right now. A lot of it has been him doing this 2 to 3 times a day. This guy's got lots of followers and views, and it's just him gagging on things he shouldn't be eating on its own. This is natural selection, but shows a level of durability of the human species, I guess. He does have, however, some heartwarming messages at the end of each video that I think only right to end this video on, and I highly recommend you do what he now says here. Thank you.
Like full of share, guys. Like full of share, guys.